Okay, everyone, hello. We are really happy to have you here in this session. Um, I will try, yes, they're putting a presentation. We'll try to do more, talking with you directly and less slides as much as possible. And to take you through the journey into how to, you know, um, expand your business and, in our story, and maybe a little bit more focus into this session about the government, deal expansion. That's, it seems that organizers want to shed light on that part of our experience. But in order to know all of that, I guess we have to go back and see the Classera story itself and some of the unique things that in turn helped us to reach this global success. Classera today is, a company that started in Silicon Valley back, 10 years ago with a vision to transform education. Education wasn't, like we want to, not just digitize the process, because what we saw back then that there is many platforms that just digitize the process or automate the process. We want something that could, it change the learning experience itself. How can you change the learning experience? That's, what we were trying to figure out. And we went from there to solve that problem. I'm going to show you what kind of formula that we adapted to solve that. And we focused then in emerging market. And in emerging market, you have to focus with governments as well. And we end up today as the biggest edutech company in the whole region, working in 40 plus countries, and getting many global awards in the process, and working actually with more than 15 countries in the world, where Classera is being used nationwide for the whole country. So Classera is the LSP, as we call it, the learning super platform that we use. Today, proudly, we are in more than 15 countries around the world, where when we are deployed all over the country, and every student in the country are using us. But let's see first what is the formula that we used in order to reach there, and how did we get to that success. And actually, I will skip some slide to go to there directly, and that's the equation that we got and adopted. So basically, we said we want to start to change the learning experience. We have to change. Learning experience is a fuzzy word. So how can you change the learning experience? We said if we can change the engagement, then that's a very good proof that we are changing the learning experience. Because learning experience is just something that you cannot put your hand on. And we said maybe one of the best way, if you're engaged, you're enjoying the experience. So let's measure that and let's try to improve that. So then we said the question then came, okay, how to change the engagement, which will change the learning experience. We said if we have a platform that could be inspiring, personalized, and collaborative, we could get to a better engagement. But again, we said this is again our general theories. How can we do that? How can we make it more inspiring? So we used gamification, and we're gonna take you to some examples to how we did that to make it a lot more inspiring. And that's one of the main tools. And we used, before the buzz of AI, that I guess you go to this conference and there's every single booth, we're going to have the word AI somewhere. So, more than 10 years ago, we, adopted, the AI as a tool for a reason. AI is, sometimes what's funny, you find some people now who say, what are you doing AI for the sake of AI. AI is a tool that's going to get you to somewhere. What do you want to achieve with it? So what you want to achieve with it here is to give a personalized learning experience for each one. Because guess what? Each student is very different into what he needs, what is his educational needs. Sometimes we deal with those students as if we were in a factory, assembly line. If they are all born in 91, they all get the same stamp, the same thing, the same material, and expect to have the same results. And that doesn't happen, of course. You see that all the time. So how, and to expect one teacher to be a superhuman, and in a classroom that have 30, sometimes 40 people, he would adopt to these personal differences, that's not realistic as well. So how can we use AI to bridge the gap for these personal differences? The third is how to make the learning collaborative. Because, as a species, as humans, when we collaborate, we do a lot better. So how to do that? How can we make the platform have an element of social learning? That we're doing it together. There is a social engagement in it. How can we compete? How can we really have fun while doing it? So that's the formula. That's the formula we have. And, and in terms of the, gamification, I'll give you just one example for each of the three before we go and see results. So whenever we talked about the gamification, we introduced a very, unique concept. Let's think about students today. Even today, I mean, especially the school that is not touching Classera, how they motivate them. They go and say, okay, these are the top 10 in the school. We're going to get them this presents, whatever that trophy is, or maybe an iPhone or whatever. And guess what? If there's 1,000 students, if you motivate the top 10 out of the 1,000, do you think that's going to motivate the 990 remaining students? Or are they going to, most of them say, well, it's either Ali here or, Omar and those Dafour, what we call in Arabic Dafour. They're very super smart. They get it. It's one of them. It's not me. So even if you theoretically bring a Lamborghini to the school and say the best one going to get a Lamborghini, that will not motivate everyone. That will motivate only the top students. The rest, they say, I don't have a chance. That's human nature. I don't have a chance. Those folks are better than me. How can you motivate everybody while not end up spending, 1,000 for, Lamborghini? Of course, you don't want to do that. So we figured out a way. We said, okay, everyone deserves a chance. So using the Inspire program, each student or learner, because we have the corporate training as well, get a score based on his academic performance. For any assignments he does, for any project he does, for any engagement he does, he gets a score. At the end of each quarter, we classify them into green, gold, diamond. And guess what? We have a program called See Inspire. More than 1,000 companies are waiting. If you're, for example, here in MENA, if you're, a green member for the, let's go, if you go to the biggest theme park here, if you're a green member, they give you 10% discount as a reward. If you're gold, they give you 50% discount. If you're diamond, they give you for free. So all of a sudden now, those learner is part of a big game. Everyone is rewarding. Everyone getting green gets something. But if you're gold, you're going to get more in this restaurant or this hotel or this theme park or whatever. If you're diamond, you get even the best. So you're rewarding everyone and getting more to even you're better. So you're motivating. Everyone is tasting it. And that's one example into how we get that. We actually end up having students going for the teacher and saying, begging for another assignment. Please, I have that many points to be a gold member. Can you give me that? It's part of a big game. And whatever the equation, that could be mathematics or it could be physics, whatever, it's part of a big game. And that's part of how we gamify the process itself, not creating education game. No, it could be whatever material you're putting and you still gamify it. And we make the society. Imagine, those fifth graders going with his dad. Oh, I got you this evening. I'm a gold diamond member, and it's better than your American Express. So that's the kind of things that we have, and that's one part into how we make the learning more inspiring. And the AI, we even before the ChatGPT and all of that, we start to have an engine that give you this recommendation engine. Know your strength and weakness and try to give you an adaptive learning into what you should do. Where is your focus area? Of course, with the introduction of AI, with ChatGPT, we even introduce more tools into giving more things you can do. Command everything. I will create an assignment that have 7 questions, 1 multiple choice, 1 this, 1 that, 1 from this. I want the complexity level to about that level, and I want to start Monday and finish Tuesday. So system will do it for you with your voice command. Your voice is my command. So that's our AI engine, Classera. But again, it gives you a personalized learning experience. Each student with time starting to, Ali, I think you are weak in integration by part. How much do you see this video? You need more of that. And that's not by the teacher. That's someone helping the teacher in the back. So the student come to the classroom a lot more prepared using an AI engine. So that's called personalization. AI is not a goal by itself. I keep saying that. It's a mean to an end. And for the social learning, we actually end up having a score for the classroom itself. So there is a competition between the classroom, and they collaborate so that they can overachieve the other classrooms or the other school. So we put this collaboration element to be part, and so that they can, hey, Omar, I think I don't understand this very well. Oh, you're going to affect the score of the classroom. Let me teach you that. Let me, get you, so that our ship can go. So we have seen a lot of these techniques. Okay, that's in theory. Is it really proven? Let's see the results. And I mean, these are some of the examples: the Smart Score, the Word Program, the badges, personalized learning, Classera Ambassador, a lot more. There's a lot more examples. Of course, I gave you some of the top examples in the theory. But here it is. If you go and compare it to other traditional learning management solution, the impact is very clear. You see the green is Classera. In terms of average time on the site, page view, and that's by Alexa, which is an independent source, not us, of course, drawing that. Classera got the highest engagement metric in the industry globally, and that's, we think, why it is a proven model. So that's the results are in front of you. And all of that enables us then to create what we call the LSP, the Learning Super Platform, which includes not just this gamified learning. It have ERP, like for the finance and HR, then a marketplace for education products, so you have access to thousands of other edtech companies integrated with the platform, and a payment solution to pay and finance your tuition. And we end up going for governments, and that's maybe the last part that we're focusing on here. We started with proving ourselves with many government organizations with this model, and that we are changing the learning engagement, and therefore it's a proof that we're changing the learning experience. We start getting the trust of those big organizations because they believe in data. And that's what my first advice would be for any entrepreneur who want to go and speak with governments, because governments are not necessarily the number one factor for them is how to save money. He's not paying it out of his own pocket. As long as it is within his reach, as long as it is within his budget, he's gonna care. He's gonna do it with you. But if it is, let's say you have a budget of $1 million, but you can give it to him for 700, he doesn't gonna care. The impact and the data that he can show to his minister is a lot more important. And that's why we created that model, and actually we end up starting to be more sustainable. So the idea that we create the government with, of course, is to go and say, you know what, instead of you just paying for it, we have a way to generate revenue for it. So remember those edtech companies in the marketplace, EduMall? Whenever a student buy any of these edtech products, part of revenue goes to cover the cost for the ministry, so that all those students, millions of students, and we have more than 15 countries worldwide. Those students are paying for this solution, and they're little by little paying part of that expense for the government, make it a lot more affordable. And I guess the best part that we have done with, if you want to talk about the experience to expand into governments, is the first example that you show. So we have of course done examples in countries like Saudi, Egypt, and more with the governments, and that always end up being the proof. So having this first trial as something very successful with proven data that they can present to their top leader, and find a way to make it sustainable, because government always believe in the long term, not the short term. How can you make it sustainable, and make it pay for itself, and make it very affordable, and it's a public-private partnership. And we end up actually partnering in our sector, education sector, with funding organizations. We end up actually not just serving countries like Saudi and Qatar and Oman, and we have all those countries nationwide. We end up even serving countries like Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Djibouti, Comoros, with partnership. So that's maybe my second key message would be a great partnership, and that include other than the private sector, include NGOs and funding organization. And some of these projects, for example, end up being paid by the World Bank. Some of those projects end up being paid by other, funding organization, so that we could expand to more and more countries. And always in the government, you try to think about the corner cases, where it's not just serving people in the capital, is serving people in the border. So we have done a big project, for example, in Saudi, in the border of Yemen. It was the biggest virtual school. Some of them didn't even have a mean to go to school. And we got several global awards based on that, from London and from the, US and like many of the big awards, Learning Award, and Microsoft chose as the best education technology partner in the world last year. But that's, a conclusion, through partnership and through that you can do a lot more. And these models that we have proven, with data, proved that, that, you can scale, you can take risk. You have to take risk with governments. Government is a lot more risk. Maybe they don't pay on time, but you end up having a global success story. And that's what end up, helping us to serve entire, government projects from, North Africa all the way to Thailand. I was just signing, an agreement with Thailand, 2 weeks ago. So with that, I guess we have only 1 minute or so. We can open the floor for some interaction and some question. That's to conclude this presentation. So we'll see if anyone here want to interact in the last minute before we leave. Sam or anyone?
So before we do that, as we're opening up to the audience on the floor, can we have a massive round of applause for Mohammed, please? Wonderful. I feel so short being down here, but
yeah.
it's all right. It's like I mentioned, it's like being married earlier. Any questions from the audience? Are we still on? I thought I'd been shot then. That was okay. So I love what you're sharing on stage there. Gamification has got to be the driver of so much that we put into education. But here's the challenge, and I don't know if you covered it, but forgive me if I bring it up again. If you're playing a game of any description, it's you versus you. But you've still got to play a bigger game when you're going out to get a job. How difficult is it to raise people's actual quality in the gamification of their degree or their studies to make sure that they don't end up with something that's great, but nobody else is going to want it?
Yeah, that's interesting. What we're trying to do with the gamification is to make the process of learning a lot more enjoyable. And it's a message that, whenever you're going to go, if I want to make connection between the two, if you want to go to the workplace, it's not about the game that you're going to play. Maybe we gamified your learning process. Maybe we cannot gamify your workplace. But the message that you can take from both, you should be enjoying and loving what you're doing. So we want to the inspiration and the enjoyment part when you're doing the learning, to be there. And as a human experience, if you enjoy anything, you're going to get the best at it and do your best. And in work, I guess that's very true. People sometimes go to work just, think about the salary at the end of the month. I'm just doing this miserable job. I don't want to be dealing with it. I can't believe
that's true. That's not true.
Yeah. Some of it doing that. I mean, they're not going to get their best performance. If you start to love and look to the positive side of your job and what you're doing and what you're contributing to society, loving what you do, enjoying it, going to make you contribute a lot more, and maybe that could be a lesson that we prepare the students for.
I want to ask one more question before I move on to our next speaker. So we agree that with the gamification, we agree we can tailor it, but when it comes to the marketing, how can you position that alongside the studying? So people, if everyone's doing gamification, how can you choose to market a specific type of game for them? How do you do that? Because it's easy to say law degree versus geography degree, but what about the gaming? Because that must be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty in the model that we did, that we're not promoting that education and games, we're gamifying the process itself no matter what you're learning. And again, what is, how I promote that and speaking with governments is what we saw on the screen, data. Try to come with data that shows that, there is more engagement and therefore there is, as I said at the beginning, a better learning experience. That's what we're trying to do.
That's a fantastic answer. We're short of time. Can I ask, because we're short of time, is it possible to have a conversation directly with Mohammed, if that's okay? Once again, massive round of applause for Mohammed. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.